Today I'll be giving you a rundown of what building an app is like. You don't need to know anything about programming to follow along. The app I'll be talking about is called Eat How. It's a project of mine that gives you recipes you can make with the ingredients you already have. Before I start any project, I figure out the minimum features I need to build out. For Eat How, those are account management features that you find in a lot of other apps. Log in, log out, create an account, delete an account, reset your password, as well as some features that are specific to Eat How, like add ingredients to an account, remove ingredients from an account, and find matching recipes. One quick change I should make here is reword add and remove ingredients from an account to add and remove items from a database, because that's what ingredients will really boil down to, just items in a database. This is useful because though at first adding and removing ingredients sounded like a unique feature, adding and removing items from a database is about as ordinary a feature as they get. And with the language and tools that I use, I could do either one with a single line of code. For example, here's one way I could create a user ingredient. Think of these as instructions that say, go to this database table, create an item, and give it these properties. To delete a user ingredient, I can just change the create to destroy. All in all, these were the two easiest features to build. So let's move on and talk about account management. One thing that's hard for non-technical people to understand is how much developers help each other out online. Between question and answer sites, forums, YouTube channels, plugins, libraries, frameworks, tutorials, articles, even podcasts, and a lot of other things, it's almost hard not to find help when you need it. And that's especially true when you're trying to do something a lot of developers have already done before, like building account management features. So when it came time to build these features for Eat How, what I did was look for a tutorial from a much better developer than me who showed me how to do it step by step. Okay, so that takes care of account management, which means we're down to one feature, finding matching recipes. My first thought is I'm gonna need a recipes table. Each recipe will need a name, a picture, directions, and ingredients. I'm also gonna need a table to store users. Users will need a name, email, password, and ingredients. But I can already tell this isn't gonna work out. If you look at these tables, you'll see a lot of repeating data. Repeating data won't break anything, but it is bad for performance. The second much bigger problem is that there's no connection between a user's ingredients and a recipe's ingredients. If I have an ingredient called garlic and a recipe uses an ingredient called garlic, it's obvious to me and to people that we're talking about the same thing. But that's not how it works with computers. Computers don't automatically make that connection. Fortunately, this problem is common, and I know of at least one way to fix it. To start, I had to extract ingredients into their own table and make the recipe and user tables use that instead of their own ingredients column, which I did by creating two additional tables. One table called user ingredients, containing a user ID and an ingredients ID, and another table called recipe ingredients, containing a recipe ID and the ingredient ID. Then I programmed Eat How so that when a user adds an ingredient to their account, it creates a user ingredient item with their account ID and with the ingredient ID of the ingredient they added. I did the same for recipes. So now when a user adds butter or whatever other ingredient, it refers to the same exact thing as recipes are referring to when they use butter. And with these connections built out, it's easy to check the user's ingredients and see what recipes they're linked to. The problem now is that just because there's a link between a user ingredient and recipes doesn't mean that the user has all of the ingredients for those recipes. It only means that the user has at least that ingredient that's linked. And if we think about how many recipes have things like butter, oil, salt, pepper, onion, or garlic, it's likely that users will have at least one ingredient for the majority of recipes. So while this gets me a lot closer to what I need, there's still a lot left to figure out. For now, I ended up programming Eat How to check recipes one by one, which as I mentioned earlier isn't the best fix and it won't work long term, but it's also not the biggest problem holding the growth of the app back right now. I do think I'm headed in the right direction and I'm excited to come back to this problem when the time comes. Meanwhile, if you want to see how things are going or if Eat How is something that sounds interesting to you, you can check it out at eathow.com. I'll post the link in the description below. And as always, if you like this video and you want to see more like it, the best way to support this channel is by hitting the subscribe and like buttons below. It really is a huge help, especially to channels just starting off like this one. So, thanks.